Violent mood swings takes their time setting up on stage, music blaring through the venue's speakers, drowning out conversations in the closest vicinity. I lovingly squeeze the hand of my girlfriend, Lauren, twice. In the corner of my eye, I see she takes a beat from her discussion and smiles. Looking into her eyes, I feel myself slip away for a second. It always takes my breath away. She goes back to her friend's story, and I begin to scan the bar, people watching with a purpose. The city's social groups as a whole are inbred and interlinked in every possible way. Family ties or personal histories. There is hatred in the eyes of various patrons as Erica walks by. The confessionals from those who have sought my services always include a jealous rage and bitterness they can't let go, that all stem from first or second-hand interactions with her. Erica's own sins include greed, pride, envy, and wrath. She's consistently battling the line between self-loathing and narcissism. Fake smiles and greetings are given to Erica by the bitter group as she continues to the bar. One of the angriest against her includes Sadie, Envy, whose abusive ex, Derek, worships Erica. Derek drunkenly assaulted Sadie before they finally broke up, following a week of social media drama. She blames Erica as much as she blames herself. Derek once reached out to me, explaining his innocence, claiming it all stems from Sadie's instability. I see beyond words into the putrid sludge of his soul. It burns differently than many others that seek my assistance. He is a foul creature. On stage, Matt is the first to get the go-ahead for sound check, while the rest of the band remains occupied with drum placement and amplifiers. A shaky hand brings his beer to his lips to finish the bottle, as the other strums open strings. He still feels responsible for his mother's passing, of which he had no hand in. He simply wishes he could have done more. His daily drinking is on the brink of gluttony. Our eyes meet, perhaps a flash of shame or pain shine in his, and we both raise a hand in recognition. I send out a thought to the universe that he seeks to open up again, before allowing any further self-destruction. They come to me for their confessions. "Do you need another drink?" I ask Lauren into her ear. She looks at her glass for a moment and nods with another smile. "Yes, my love," I faintly hear her say. Standing at the bar, awaiting my order, a new face stumbles near me. He nods hello, turns around, and rests his elbows on the bar. "Have you heard these guys?" he says, pointing towards the stage with his drink. "Yes, I have," I tell him, as I group my drinks together, handing the bartender cash. "They're quite good. I was up with them all night," he interrupts, and takes a sip. "I'm a photographer. We were taking promo shots downtown, and when we drove to another location, someone busted out the coke. They said, 'Hey man, you want a bump?' I never touched this stuff before. I'm more of a weed guy. But I thought, sure, why not? We've all been drinking. But man, I got like no sleep," punctuating this by finishing the remainder of his drink. "There's more," he has to say. "Kept me up all night, man. I feel guilty, like I did something wrong." He lets out a deep breath. "Kept thinking that maybe I've used this gig as a way to creep out on girls too much. Everyone wants to be a model, and everyone wants these sexy pics. Everything is out before they get into whatever pose covers their nips and lips." Looking down at his face is pain. It doesn't feel right anymore. A pause before burping into his hand and turns to me. "The fuck am I doing anymore?" he sighs. "Take it as a sign to better your life in a much more productive way. Perhaps this is your spirit searching for more meaning beyond your free time." I place a hand on his shoulder. "Of questions surface his eyes. You'll know. It'll just feel natural. He nods as I give his shoulder a squeeze. I pick up my drinks and head back over to the table. Lauren gives me a look, smile creeping up to the corners of her lips. New convert? She asks jokingly, aware of what attracts those around, what she calls my gift. The people that come to me in this city, they call me the father. Not sure. Maybe if there's more he needs to get off his chest later tonight. Everyone at the table continues with their conversations. House lights dim as the band begins to play. A majority of the bar gets up and moves towards the stage. The music is distorted, heavy, and driving. Matt growls into the microphone, bringing the energy up in the room with a scream. Select pogoing members of the crowd begin pushing and a small pit starts. I finish what's left of my water, freeing my hands to block anyone moshing from hitting those behind. Lauren and her friends cheer as I hold steady, keeping the pit moving with my forearms. The back of a fist smashes into my face and I can immediately feel the blood pouring from my nose. Derek stands before me with a drunken grin, admiring his work. I smile back. The pride in his face disappears as he is pushed from behind, colliding headfirst into one of the ceiling support beams, then falling limply to the floor. "Oh, shit!" yells the one who caused Derek's mishap, rushing to his side. It's the photographer from the bar. His attempt to move him is halted as bouncers make their way into the circle, breaking up the pit to check on Derek. He comes to and loudly demands to know where his phone is. On stage, VMS continues with their song, unaware of what has been occurring. We're a little too far back in the dark for them to notice. Voices try to compete with the music, people asking what happened and if I'm alright. I nod, pinching my nostrils shut, moving towards the bathrooms. Stepping through the door, I recognize the gentleman washing his hands at the sink. Nathan sees me in the reflection of the scratched and cloudy bar bathroom mirror, turning off the faucet. "You okay, man?" he asks, grabbing paper towels to dry his hands, along with extra to pass my way. "Yeah," I answer, nose congested with blood. Pit got a little rowdy. Derek ate shit into one of the beams after he did this. Taking the offered paper towels with an appreciative nod, I hold them over my lower face as the blood is trickled down to my chin. Something internal takes joy in both the pain and the taste. "How's everything else? You good?" Nathan asks, knowing the peculiar nature of the imposed social status given to me. Unprofessional confessional. Though I am a few years older than he, spiritually he is my elder. During my darkest hours, I have turned to him for my own confessions. When it has gotten overwhelming, when I've been tempted to lay forth justice myself, he gives no absolution. He has given me peace. His wisdom is always serene and precise. A friendship I cherish. I laugh through the paper towels. It's draining, of course. All the suffering builds up, so much out of everyone's control. But I'm starting to feel like there's progress made in letting it go over time, not allowing it to collect and fester. My head is still spinning with adrenaline. The world keeps spinning and the suffering continues, but you'll make it. You always stay true, he says with a smile. Always good to see you, man. I'm gonna go have a smoke. Alone in the bathroom, listening to the band muffled through the door, I blow my nose into the soaked paper towels, producing a thick blood clot. If this were home, I would have done so in my own hand over the sink, watching the blood rinse through my palm and fingers. Taking more out of the dispenser, I wet them to wipe the drying mess off my face. Presentable enough. I walk back into the venue and begin looking for my group. Finding familiar faces in the shifting reflection of stage lights is easy, and I wrap my arms around Lauren from behind. Her cheeks touch before I kiss her, feeling the giggle through her body as she moves to the music. She had come to me last year for her confessions, with a purity I had not felt from anyone else I've listened to. I was smitten by the end of her opening up, but made no attempts at making a connection at first. We simply would run into one another at least once during the weekend events. Our city has a medium-sized population with a small-town mentality, where social circles are intermingled. We had begun talking as friends at an art show and music event, which evolved into online and text messages. She was the only person I would chat with that wasn't quote-unquote business. I love her with a passion I never knew existed, only dreamed about. She feels right in my arms, with no amount of decay over time. Her hand moves up to touch the other side of my face as our heads press together. The rest of the night is rather uneventful for a Saturday, but I grow hazy as my energy is beginning to run on empty. A few more acquaintances give their standard handshakes and hugs upon greeting, some repeating this process depending on their level of inebriation. A bartender tells me of the guilt she bears over messaging multiple men while still living with her husband. The photographer, whom I learn is named James, asks if he could add me on Facebook. I help him find my profile through the app on his phone and confirm the addition on my own. There have been some weekends where I must sit outside the furthest corner of the patio, spending most of the night listening to those looking for peace. To confess, once there was a line going around the inner patio wall leading to the back door into the venue, but it was a great inconvenience for those that wanted to step outside and enjoy their drinks with a cigarette. The owner had spoken to me about it the following weekend, it being a fire exit violation. From then on, I had begun making appointments during the week over when and where I would be found by those looking for my services. As last call is announced, a bearded fellow in a Slayer shirt has his arm around my shoulder, his breath thick with beer, talking to me about death. He tells me about being a boy and feeling the strong presence of spirits, especially if it's near where it passed onto the other side. The most recent had been at his wife's cousin's house. It was his first time there, yet he had felt a strong familiarity that thickened near a doorway. He asked his wife and her cousin about the area, the latter informing him that it was the spot she had found her boyfriend that had committed suicide only a few weeks back. It is very painful to feel the dead around him, he tells me. Some days he would rather not leave the house in order to keep away from the existential weight of mortality. I tell him he has a gift, and that only he will learn how it could be productive, as long as he follows his soul. I don't know you, man, but I'm glad I came up to talk to you, he says with a hearty laugh into the side of my face. Lauren and I say our goodbyes. She is, as she calls it, in her feeling good stage of her self-set drinking limit. She is all smiles and in dire need of greasy food or a trip to an all-night diner for late breakfast. Either one appeals to her. I let her know I'm in the mood for French toast, and her enthusiasm makes my heart skip a beat. I love this woman. She lets her friends know the location and estimated arrival time. I see Nathan getting ready to leave, let him know the same information, should he care to join us. He tells me he won't need to take a rain check on it, as his wife is at home with their child. He wants to get back to them. We hug and he steps out into the parking lot. Ready? I ask Lauren. We embrace and she kisses me. We walk outside and I open the passenger door for her, making my way around the car, while feeling the birth of anticipation for the endless cups of coffee tonight. I can feel those looking to reach out at the village inn we're heading to. That internal guide always informing me of where I will be needed most. Those coming out of bars and clubs will be looking for nourishment of the body and of the soul. They will come to confess and call me the Father. Story and narration by Josh Pinon.